Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a black cat. It's going to be very simple tonight, and I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat tonight, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask those, and I'll try to answer. Let's get started. All right, so tonight's video is sponsored by Arteza. We're going to be using their paints and products, and we're starting out with a, I messed up my drawing there. Starting out with their premium acrylic pad here. I really like these. I have used them several times in videos for them. This one is 11 by 14, but I have cropped or taped off my border with just regular painter's tape in a 9-inch square. So just so that we could do it on here. And then I'm going to crop off the excess because I got a little bit of dirt and stuff on these side things. So when I was painting it, I got a little happy. You might want to tape your whole thing off if you're wanting to leave it. But this is the paper I've used before in several videos. If you've seen these three that I've done in the past, this one used some acrylic markers of theirs, but all of them using the Arteza paints. And I really like the quality, and you can see the colors are really vibrant and hold up well. Two of those are from last year. So we'll be doing our kitty cat tonight. I painted the background with black. Before I painted the black, I used a little bit of matte medium to seal the edges of my tape because I did not do that on my bear here, and we had a little bit of bleeding in the corners and things. So to avoid the bleeding, you either want to paint a little bit of white paint or some sort of a clear medium that will seal the edges of your tape if you're taping like I am. All right, go. And then I painted 2 coats of black. It's very shiny, so I'm hoping that the shine doesn't get in the way too much tonight. Let's go over our colors. So we're using Mars Black, Payne's Gray here, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, Indian Yellow Hue, Mid Yellow, Yellow Pale. So these ones would be like a cadmium yellow medium and light. This one, Indian Yellow, is obviously the same. These are all the same. Yellow Green, Phthalo Green, Phthalo Green regular, Ultramarine Blue, Gray, and Cold Gray, and Titanium White. So you can see the difference between these two grays. This one's got a little bit of blue in it, and this one's just kind of has more brown. So I've got the Ultramarine Blue and the Burnt Umber, which we would use to mix these two grays, and I'll show you how if we need to go over that. But we'll probably be just using a lot of grays and browns for the fur, and there's very little actual texture in this. It's mostly just the eyes, which are the star of the show. So we're going to take some time to do that. I'll show you how to draw the kitty cat. Wanted to show you the set I'll be using here too of the easel. So this is new for me. I found that if you want to hold it upright, there's like 4 different notches, but then if I just flip it down like this and leave it, it kind of does a little bit, just enough of an angle for me that it kind of goes under the camera really well. You guys won't care, but for me, it works. And then inside, I've got my brushes and some paints. So basically this set would handle the all of our needs tonight. I didn't use these exact colors, but you could substitute enough of what I'm using with the set that comes with this. And it's called the Large Acrylic Set, I think, and it comes with some canvases and some brushes. Not as many brushes as this one. This was a different set that sold out, but the link is down in the description if you're interested in buying their products. All right.
Yeah, very handy for the holidays. You can pack up your paints and go see the family.
It is. I really like this, and they were sold out of it last time I did a video. I asked for it, and they were sold out of it, and they've gotten back in stock. So I was really excited to finally get one this year. So, all right. Oops. Ooh, that was terrible. Sorry. Terrible noise. All right. Taking those off of there. I'm going to show you how to draw this guy. I used regular school chalk on the black there just because I didn't want to scratch my paint. Sometimes I use like watercolor pencil or something, but it depends on the surface you're using. And the watercolor pencils were a little bit firm So I wasn't able to use them this time. So I'm going to grab a pencil and we will just show you kind of, this is 9-inch. So if we were to, you know, kind of mark off part of that, that will be our square right here that we'll be drawing in. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to lay this flat while I'm trying to do this. If I want to lay it flat, I just flip it down. Okay, there we go. So our kitty cat, the eyes are going to be, and generally on a cat or any animal's face, it's going to be kind of in the middle. So I'm going to mark that a little bit darker there so you can see that line. Okay, so here's our square, and find that mid range, kind of mark that. And then take your pencil and mark 5 marks, kind of equal distance, if you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not 5 marks, 4 marks, 5 spaces. So somewhere in here, kind of adjust it a little bit. Somewhere in here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our nose space. These are our 2 eye spaces, and then we've got space on the other side. And then here's our mid mark. So that means the bottom of my eye is going to hit that in this photograph. And it's going to come up just to the inside of that mark here and here. And then wherever you do across here, just kind of use the same space or the same point to start your curve up just a little bit. Curves up a little bit like this and then goes over. So it's kind of like up and over. And then it comes down just a little bit, and then this rounds out right here. Okay. And use this mark here to kind of know where to stop it, and then wherever this and this is should line up as well. So there we go. So there's our eyes, and then the kitty cat, and really any eyes, you're going to want to have your pupils, or well, on the kitty cat, you're not seeing the whites of the eyes. I was going to say if you're seeing the whites of the eye, you'd want that part to go up over underneath your lid. But in this case, our pupil is going to be going under our lid. So, and this one is a little offset to this side, and it's so blown. He's really got wide-eyed here. The pupils are blown. This is what happens just before we get attacked by cashmere, or us, or something else, usually our hand. Okay, so we got that. There's our 2 eyes, and then you're going to come in at an angle, and there's kind of a little bit of around the eye there, and then it comes out just slightly at an angle, and then back in. And then the nose, the top of the nose is about 1 eye width. So you kind of just take that eye width and kind of pop it at the bottom there, and that's going to be the top of our nose. And then the nose is always humans, animals, usually, depending on the type of animal, you know, some have longer snouts than others, but basically your nose is usually at least inside the eye, the corners of the eye. So you come straight down. And in the case of this little guy, his eyes a little bit, or his nose is a little bit smaller. So I would use the inside of this point. If you kind of came straight down, you'd be kind of right in here. So the nose kind of curves a little bit right here, and comes out slightly on either side. And then there's a little round nostrils that we're seeing right here. And then, of course, on a regular, photo of the cat, you'd see this little kind of T shape here that happens, and then a little split there. We're not seeing a whole lot of this, and I might widen this out a little bit. I think I probably made it a little bit too narrow, but our kitty cat's nose on this photograph is pretty narrow. And then our whiskers are going to start straight out from the nostrils, so kind of right in here. I'm going to whiskers, and then right down from the pupil. If you kind of come to the edge of the pupil there, kind of, or maybe halfway, in the eye, is the little split for where the whiskers start, right here, and this one goes the same. So it looks like he's smiling, kind of. Got this little And in our photograph, it's not super obvious. In some photos, it would be more obvious, obviously. But and then there's kind of rows of whiskers coming down. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 with rows of whiskers. So 2, 3, and they kind of do this little dots. And then the whiskers are coming down here and just going right off the page. So if you wanted to use a bigger canvas, you could make it so that the whiskers are bigger. And then there's some eyebrows coming up here a little bit, and that's about it. Okay. So there's our kitty drawing. Not too hard. Get back my thing here. I'm gonna put this up.
And there will be a traceable for it.
What?
And there will be a traceable for it?
Yes, there will be on
just in case.
My Patreon page. Yes. Right, in case you don't like to draw on we have traceables for all the videos that we do from 2017 to the present, available on Patreon. Very small fee. It's unlimited downloads for $2 a month. So and that includes any that you want.
In 2021.
2021, yes.
So exactly. If you're watching this in 2028, it might be $100. I don't know.
Mark wishes.
So get grandfathered in now.
Mark's hoping that he'll be retired and living off his sugar mama by then. AKA patrons. All right, here we go. Filbert, sorry. Just being silly. All right. If you're new to our show, welcome. We are this silly always. So it's nothing new.
Can you show them the high-res photos you're going to get also?
No. All right. I'm going to start painting. Filbert. This is the 7th filbert from the set that I've got here, but just some sort of any filbert. I'm using the filbert because it'll kind of give me a softer texture on my little fur here. And I'm going to go ahead and start kind of dark. We've got the black, and I'm getting a little bit of that. Payne's Gray, all that Payne's Gray is, if you don't have it, it's just Ultramarine Blue plus black. So if you've got Ultramarine Blue, you can make Payne's Gray. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of the cold gray, maybe a little bit of the burnt umber. So I've got kind of a dark warm brown here. You really could use any of these. It's fine. I'm just kind of being picky here. And I'm going to just start putting in just a little bit of hint of color. And I want this color to be almost the same color as my background. You won't really be able to see it at first. I'm going to go ahead and tilt that up, even though it's going to make my drawing look a little funny, but it'll help with that shine. And I'm using the edge of the brush to create these little hairs. And because this is so kind of dark here, we're not going to really have to do a whole lot of like fur work, fur layering and things like what we have to do if we were. And I've done a black hat before. A few years ago, I did a black hat with a monarch butterfly. So if you're wanting a little bit more detail, that one had a little bit more detail. But I really like this guy. I like the photograph. I just like the eyes. I think the eyes are really spectacular. So I'm going to use the black here with a little bit of burnt umber. And I'm just going to go in my dark areas. Even though that this is going to be dark, I won't be able to see much of this. I'm just still going to try to kind of put a little bit of texture in the direction. So it'll be up and out on the kitty. Okay, there we go. And this is just that burnt umber, just keeping it really dark. All right, I'm going to get the regular gray now, and I'm going to just add it to this color to make another bump up, so just slightly lighter than what I literally have to kind of turn sideways to see. There we go. And this is probably a little bit too bright, but it'll dry a little bit darker, but actually these paints don't shift as much as the heavy body acrylics that I sometimes use. So, which is nice. Okay, Okay, getting the black, and I'm just going to go back over that because I kind of got a little bit thick right there. Okay, I think that's pretty good. It looks really bright in the photograph, but it's, or in the, on screen there, but it's not really that bright in person. Not really sure why it's looking that bright.
Are you talking about me?
Mark's not looking that bright. Is that
In person.
in person?
On the screen, I do.
The hairs here are going to be a little shorter, so I can just kind of do tiny little, and I've literally not reloaded my brush. I just have these kind of all these light brick grays in my brush. Just a little bit of color here, and this is fairly dark in our photo. Again, I'm not wanting to go too bright. Getting a little bit of the lighter gray, just gray here. And I'll show you how to create this gray if you don't have this paint set that I'm using. You can use burnt umber and a little bit of ultramarine blue and white. And I'm going to use a little bit of black too. And then depending on how much brown I use, you can see it's looking a little bit violet. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the brown and black. Depending on the burnt umber you use, this burnt umber looks like it's got a little bit more of a reddish tone, and that's why it's turning it a little bit more violet. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of the black, and that's why the black helps with that, you know, if you want to mix it. All right, I'm getting the black, adding it to this color, and I'm just going to kind of skirt around the outside of the face here. Kind of create a little bit of texture on that cheek, and this cheek fur kind of comes and meets up with this right here. So I kind of did the lines, and I'm just going to highlight just above where the whiskers are coming out. There, not a whole lot to us. Kind of down and out from the nose. These are very short little brush strokes, little hairs here on the face, around the nose and stuff. So. And again, this is probably too bright, but we'll said nobody of Mark ever, right? But I just had to throw that in there.
I guess you don't need me anymore. You even got the jokes going now.
I was just laughing after your previous comment. It came to me. I couldn't resist.
I don't blame you.
A little bit of highlight above the nose there. And then I'm getting that black and just let me clean this off. Get a little bit more black. And come down. And I'm gonna erase that chalk line there. Definitely too much black over here, or too much of the light color over here. So I'm just going to go over this with a little bit of that black, just almost glazing it there. Just to, and this side, you're not seeing that. Kind of seeing it more around the eye. So it's just the lighting's a little bit different coming from this side of the face. So it's hitting it in different places. This cheek's a little bit brighter, and a little bit more of that gray with the black, making that kind of mid-tone gray that I've been using. And we'll just kind of highlight a little bit over the top of where the whiskers are going to go. Sorry, I'm whispering. I get very soft when I start to paint. It's like I whisper, paint whisper. It's not always a good thing. I get complaints about it, so I try not to do that, but I can't help it. I get in a very zen, relaxed state when I'm painting, and my voice gets really soft. I'm aware of it. I know it's a problem. I try.
And Angela's like, "Why do you talk like that?" Because we were rewatching part of a video.
Because he was like whispering really soft.
Yeah. I said, because you'll hear me in your mic because I got it turned up so far.
Yeah. Mark whispers because I whisper. All right, there we go. So that's about all we're going to do with the cat face. We're not doing a whole lot more than that. It's very dark and it's real dramatic. So I'm going to get that dark black and just kind of come down off the top of the eyes on both sides here. Gonna make a really dark shadow right there. And then on top of the nose right here. Cute. And then the tip of the nose, I haven't done that yet. Gonna get a little bit of this gray. I really didn't need all these grays. I wasn't sure how this was gonna go, but this really covers well. I have noticed with the Arteza that they are really true to value, you know, their values, and the colors go on really well, and they don't move, they don't shift. When I say shift, a lot of times paints, acrylics in particular, will dry darker, and these don't tend to do that for me. I haven't really noticed that problem with them. Whoops.
So that's is that
Just slipped out of my hand there. Kind of went sideways there.
Is that a value shift?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. The color shifts. The darkness of the color shifts. Values is just light and dark. So there we go. So did the little nostrils in black, and then I need to go in with just a little bit of the gray and do just on the inside of the nostril right there. And right here there's kind of hairs. So there's just a little bit of highlight right there. I kind of covered it up. My brush kind of slipped earlier. There we go. And then I'm going to get a little bit of the tiny bit of white with this gray. Just go at the very top of the nose and wipe that off, and then just kind of pat over the top of that wet paint and create that little texture that's on there, and a little highlight on the tip of the nose. All right, so this is looking a lot more of a cold gray than our photograph, and I'm going to make bring his nose out a little bit too. I think I'm making it a little too small. Just bring it out just a little bit more. So we can adjust that when we can add more brown over the top of it once it dries. But I want to go ahead and start on the eye. I'm going to move my paint set brushes that I have not used over to this side, and I put the wet brushes on the other side. You can't see them, they're just off camera, but that way I know which ones I've used and which ones need to be cleaned. And you want to make sure that you keep your brushes wet, and clean out as much of the paint as you can out of them, but keep them moist, and set off to the side, and dip them in your water often, but don't leave them in your water because they'll kind of crack. I think these are wood handles. Sometimes they're acrylic, but I think these are wood. But yeah, so what happens is the wood will swell and it'll crack the paint on here and sometimes warp the brush totally. But anyhow, so you don't want to leave them in the water. All right, moving on. Let's go to, let me see here. Or leave them in the sink for a week. We left 2 brushes. And I'm not going to say who was in charge of cleaning the brushes last time. It was me. Was it me? I left them in there? I thought, okay. I thought it was you.
Not the last time.
Not this last time?
Take responsibility for the time before that. But I
The
will
time
say,
before.
after I washed them, you rewashed them, so I can't say who did
Who did
do
what?
them there. So I'm going to say it was you both times.
They got left in the sink.
Logic.
That just tells you how many dishes were in our sink that we didn't notice 2 brushes. That's sad. All right, moving on. TMI. Sorry. I just outed myself.
The life of a YouTuber.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody's going to really subscribe to your channel to watch you do dishes, so,
true.
you know.
They're probably not surprised. Anybody who's been around knows. Cleaning.
So
Cooking,
we've eliminated yet
houseworks.
a cooking channel and a cleaning channel, so
Not going to happen.
painting is still our best option.
All right, going around this eye with green, and I'm using this dark phthalo green. I added a little bit of the light green, pale green, but I don't think I need it yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and go over this black around that pupil, and I'm kind of purposefully going over the pupil a little bit with this to cover up that chalk line. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to get that lighter green. This is the yellow green, and I'm going to just use the tip of it to kind of dab my shape. I don't know if you can see that. It's very subtle. We're going to slowly build up our values here. We're starting with this dark. So there's these dark veins and things that are in the eye. Even though that it's this bright yellow, there's still some of this dark green in there. And I'm going to get some yellow. Now this is that actually this is the pale yellow.
So sometimes your paintings don't have an ugly stage, but they do have a disturbing stage.
This is the disturbing stage?
Yes. Just take a screenshot of that and it'll haunt you all night long.
It's pretty haunting, isn't it? Okay, so kind of going out from the pupil, there's just these little wrinkles and things. And using I haven't cleaned out my brush, so I've still got these little green bits in it. And I'm not really worried about my line too much, because what I'll be doing is going back over this edge with the black. So I don't have to get this just right. I'm just kind of trying to, there we go. See that? That does look creepy, doesn't it? I'll just make it more creepy. There we go. I'm going to narrow this in a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and do the other one with the mid-yellow or mid-yellow green. And be sure you go all the way up to the top too with this, because we're going to shadow over the top, so it'll give you that depth. But until then, we're going to, and I want to kind of keep these lines going out from the, kind of like in a spoke, almost. Makes sense. So kind of radiating out from the center of the eye. Really, these are just like the little muscles that we're seeing and that contract the eye muscles. Wow, that one's this is definitely looking worse before it looks better. Just trust me, I'll get you there. Trust me, it's okay. We'll get there.
We'll just see one at a time.
This one I covered up more of the yellow or more of the green, the black, so they don't match yet. It's okay. We'll get there. I promise. It won't stay this way. All right. Oh, so funny. Here, let's go ahead and just narrow that eye because it is bugging me. I'm going to just narrow it because I can't stand it. Okay, there we go. Okay, this one got pulled in way far right here. Okay, so this is the yellow with the greens. That light yellow. Short brush strokes. I'm not wanting to do like long brush strokes. I'm just kind of tapping and kind of trying to create a little bit of directional shape. But this is very kind of go right up to that edge too with the yellow too, over the top of the green a little bit. They're like dragon eyes. That's what they look like. Now, all right. And then I'm gonna get the Indian yellow hue and a little bit of burnt sienna. And a little bit of the mid yellow. So I'm making a golden yellow. Just go ahead and kind of fill in that side and all the way to the green. You can go over the green just a little bit, but don't go all the way to the pupil. This, again, gonna look worse before it looks better. Just trust the process. Your eyes, your brain is gonna be screaming at you right now that you're doing it wrong, because you're gonna look at this and go, nope, this cannot be right. But it is. We will get there. So my drawing was a little off right here. Bring that up. Did better on my other drawing than this one. Okay. We're going to have to let that dry really well because before we can put a whole lot more to it. Yeah, I will. I'm going to fix the pupils. I'm going to have to paint over the pupils again. I'm going to go ahead and get the black and a little bit of my gray. And I'm going to go around the eye with just a little bit of that. Let me that yellow's dry-ish, so it's drying pretty fast tonight, which is good. It's a nice thing about acrylics is that they dry really fast. You can layer them really easily. Okay, so going just outside and adding a little highlight there. Gonna clean up that edge there, and this kind of meets up with that. And down like that. Okay, get a little bit of white. Just gonna kind of dab it on. If you dab it on, it kind of looks a little bit more realistic than if you just kind of make a perfectly smooth surface there. Kind of just dab. Okay. And then get my black. Let's go ahead and fix this pupil. Widening that out a little bit, and that looks a little bit more tilted than it is, but I do want to a little bit. Okay, there we go. Then let's do this one. This we're going to be covering up a lot of it. So make sure we're getting the point kind of at the same spot. So it's going to come down to about right there. Okay, that looks about right. Round this out. And I've switched to the one round here. I was using the angle before. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that 5 angle. So I started out with the filbert and then I switched to the 5 angle. And now I'm doing the one round. Okay, gonna get that black and just make sure that I've got a good dark outline. Go over this just a little bit. It seems a little bit bright. A little bit of water if you need it. A lot of times when you're using a round, a little bit of water will help it flow a little bit better. Just making sure that I've got a good dark outline between the eye and that highlight that I did. And just clean up that outside edge of the eye. Let's do it here too. There we go. And kind of round this out just a little bit right here. Brought that up just a little bit so they're about closer to the same size there. And then make sure that that top is nice and dark.
We have a question regarding the brushes.
Okay.
They would like to know, are these as firm as the other brushes you usually use?
No, they're a little bit softer, but they really do hold up pretty well. I've been very pleased with them. So, I mean, if they weren't working, I wouldn't be using them because it's not worth trying to paint a painting if you can't get, it would take me too long. If you have a bad brush, it will take you longer to do the same thing as it would with a good brush. So these are, I would say, good quality beginner brushes. I wouldn't hesitate to recommend them there. Now, I don't know how they would do with heavy body acrylics, if that's what you're using, but these ones that are softer, a little bit softer, the Arteza paints, perfect. They work perfectly fine. So, and they're not that much. They're not really a soft brush. I should say they're not a soft brush. They're probably closer to the softer brushes that I use. Probably closer to that quality. Which make them really good for details. That details like this when you're doing these little soft details, and you need a softer brush. Okay. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of the bigger here. I'm going to get the 2 filbert, a little bit bigger, and I'm going to use my white. And white will help the yellow be more opaque. So I'm just going to use the white with my pale yellow. And we'll start setting in some detail. I can tell that I've kind of made this cat's eye rounder than it is in the photograph, because this space here is more narrow in our photo, so I might bring that eye up. I don't know, but
Oh, I got a good question for you.
okay.
It came from somebody else, though. They would like to know that for someone who is new at painting, how do they know if their brush is working for them?
Okay, that's a good question. Really good question. So I did a brush demonstration video on my Thankful Art Facebook group. I really need to do one on YouTube, honestly, because probably one of the better videos I've done for that particular thing, and it's on Facebook. But I'm using less pressure here. But you can tell by how floppy they are. Your better brushes are going to snap back in place. So if you're pressing down on them and you want to be able to have it hold its shape. You see how that's holding its shape? I press down on it and it's staying in that shape. And that means I can do things like a comma stroke and it will pop back into that shape. If your brush is not popping back into shape when you press down on it like this and do a brush stroke with it, then it's not a good brush, because it needs to be able to do that. You need to be able to control what it's doing, and if your brush is not flexible and not having not enough flexibility to hold its shape, and so I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm trying to do this, concentrate and say that. I don't think I'm making a good point, but anyhow, hopefully you get the idea by the demonstration with the brush. But yeah, and a bad brush will be wiggly, like your ferrule will wiggle. This part won't be well attached, so you'll have wiggle in it. Your hairs will come out while you're brushing, while you're painting. That's a real big indicator. If your hairs are coming out, then that's not good. But I used to have my older brushes. I'd have to buy a cheap set of brushes to do my demonstration now. I used to have some old brush sets that I used for my students, and I don't have them anymore. Actually, I got okay, get the one out of that set right there. Get the 2 brushes out of that set. I just turned down out of that. No, out of that big set right there. Yep. I got a request to do a promotional video like this one, where I was going to demonstrate the products
Company.
with another company, not this one, not Arteza. And
Careful,
they
you
sent
see the
me.
names.
Okay, I don't want to show the brand names. I'm gonna hold the.
Do you want to put tape over?
Yeah, well, maybe it's fine. So these are the brushes I got with the set, and I immediately called them and was like, "No, not gonna work." So you can see even right here, you can see the hairs coming off of them, right there. Like they're, yeah, you can see them. All three of them are like that. They, I had to pop one of them back in. One of them had completely separated from it, and when you wet them down, they lost their shape. The handles are warped. They're, oops, sorry, I was showing it there. They're spreading out. They're not holding a shape. You see that? There's a hair sticking out right there.
I'll see if I can get a close up on the phone.
And so if you were tried to paint with it, you're going to have a real hard time, and it's not going to stay together. You can see even better with that. You see how it's like sticking out there. You got a hair sticking out right there. It's just like, no, there was like no way. There's no way you can paint detail with that kind of brush and get a good result. These are not doing that at all. Not at all. Not even a little bit. So I'm having zero trouble with them. All right, let's keep on going here. All right. So sorry to that other. I hope I didn't show the name, but
I don't think it was
good.
because of work. So.
But a lot of the companies on Amazon especially, you'll see a lot of companies, brush companies, that are selling big sets of brushes for like $12. And you're like, no, you're gonna have to spend. I think the set that I'm using here is I can't remember how much it is. Actually, now that I say that, Arteza's got good prices, so I hate to say all brushes at certain price point are not good, but usually you'll get like, for $12, you're going to get like 50 brushes or something, and they're going to be, a lot of brushes that you wouldn't want to use for acrylics. Like you'll get a lot of the stiff bristled hog bristle brushes, the white ones, which are super cheap and drop hairs like crazy and are not good for acrylics because they get soggy as soon as you add water to them. And then your other brushes are going to be like those ones I showed you, and then so you're not getting your money's worth. You'll do better to get a good quality set or, of like 4 or 5 brushes than you would to get, to waste your money on a set of no-name brushes that are bad quality and will just give you problems the whole time you're trying to paint with them. All right. Sorry, if you get me started on brushes, I will go forever. So brushes and colors, I'm kind of hot topics for me. Okay, so painted in that bright yellow now. Got a nice base here. I'm gonna get some of that mid yellow and that original color that I put in this. So a little bit of burnt sienna, mid yellow, and Indian yellow hue. I'm gonna use it around the side here. So this side, and again, just kind of tapping. I'm going to have to get a little bit of this yellow that had the white in it because it's not one to cover, and I do need it to go all the way to my dark edges, so get just a little bit of that color. And bringing that orangey color down around the side here and along the edge. Yeah, over here I kind of got a little too much. Get a little bit of white with my lighter yellow. Again, kind of tapping and trying to kind of keep an eye on the direction that the streaks are going in toward the eye. I think I covered a little bit too much of it up over on here on this side. I'll probably have to put a little bit more of my green back in. Got a little happy with my yellow while I was talking about brushes. But all right, there we go. But yeah, I turn down more sponsorships than I take. I don't do a lot of sponsored videos, and that's why, because I'm picky about the brushes and things that I use and the products that I use. And I know that folks who are watching the videos are buying the stuff that I'm recommending, and I don't want to recommend something that I wouldn't use myself. And this is the only reason I use the more thicker paints, is because I can do there's certain techniques that you can do with them, and I'm just more used to that thickness of paint, mostly. I'm always really surprised by when I do these videos how much I like these. I was like, why don't I use it? I don't know. You just get into habits as an artist, you have your certain things, but I never have any trouble painting with these at all. They always do really well for me. So this is the mid color. So I started out with that light yellow, and now I'm kind of bridging the gap between the dark yellow or the dark orangey yellow and the brighter yellow with the mid yellow and a little bit of white and a little bit of I think it's just the mid yellow actually, and a little bit of white. I wasn't paying attention. Shh. Don't tell Mark.
Did you say something?
No.
Okay, good.
I was showing Spencer our video about you telling the story of the
jack-o'-lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
If you missed it, you might want to check out that video. It's pretty funny. Mark's storytelling at its worst.
But you got the idea.
It was awesome. I'm so confused. Okay, gonna use the burnt sienna and burnt umber now. And here I'm gonna have to be real carefully. So I just want a little bit, and I had that yellow in my brush, so it mixed with the yellow a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of pull just a few, very little faint brush strokes out from the edge. And you can see we're kind of gradually we started with the dark, added the light, and now we're going back to dark. It's all about layering with acrylics. So we're just little bits of freckles and things here. Okay. There. And if you don't like it, you can always cover it up. So that's the nice thing about acrylics too. Because they layer so well, you can try things, and if it doesn't work out, just cover it with another layer. Okay, these little, and there's a little bit of dark right here. Just where it kind of comes up right there and around. I'm probably going to use my yellow to kind of tone this down a little bit here, because I got a little thick in a couple of places, but there we go. So right in here, I'm going to get a little bit of my green. that yellow green. And this color is very transparent, so putting it over this yellow will just tint it a little bit. And then like right there, I got a little too heavy-handed, so I'm just going to get a little bit of the yellow and just going to tap over it. And if I use the yellow that's transparent, not add the white, it'll kind of still show it a little bit through. But I think I do want a little bit of white. A little bit of white. Let's use both of my light yellows. And there we go. Just a little softer there. Still have that color, but just a little bit softer. Okay, we're spending a lot of time on this, on the eyes, because that's our main focal point. I really thought we'd be done by now, honestly. I've been spending a lot of time on these. You could have probably done them faster, but why skimp, right? They're looking really good. Okay, so this is where you can look at your outlines, see if you need to do that black outline again or anything like that. I think they look good. I'm going to go ahead and let those dry really well before I do any more highlights or anything else on them. And yeah, so I'll just let those dry because I think they need. And let's go ahead and do our little whiskers. So you're going to want to grab a liner brush. I've got the Riggers, the Zero Rigger here, which is just a fancy word for liner. Gonna get some white in my water, and I'm going to get some of the gray as well. So I'm going to just tone it down just a little bit. It's not super bright white. And we're going to start right about even with the pupil and right about even with the nostril. So right in here somewhere. And I'm going to pull out and down all the way out, off. Barely touching down, and you want to hold the brush so that just the tip is pointing and you're holding your brush upright. If you're holding it at an angle, you're not going to get just the tip touching. You're going to get too much of that brush in contact and you won't be able to control it. So just angle straight down, barely touch down with the tip, and then pull it out. Go ahead and do another one here. Multiple. Try to get them in one go. If you need to go back over it, you can, but can be tricky unless you're comfortable with the brush getting it in the same exact spot. So, but then every now and then I'm gonna take one and kind of go across so they're not all going in the same direction. I might take one and really overlap a little bit and get a little bit darker.
Now you also have a video on just eyes, right?
That's in my Patreon group.
In the Patreon group, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought I remembered that. I remembered something. Where do you want to do this?
Yeah, if you are, while I'm doing this, same thing on the other side. Ooh, I got yellow in there. I don't want yellow. I am starting to put up my schedule for next month in November. And one of the first things we're going to be doing, the second thing in November, we're going to be working on another video for Arteza. So and we're using their little wood pieces here. And we're going to be doing some ornaments, and I'm going to do a advent calendar out of them. I'm going to get as many done as I can. They don't come painted. They come like this. And I painted both sides. I don't think I'm going to use black though. I tried it just to see if I liked it. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to have numbers on one side and birds on the other. And so you can do, 24 of them all the way up to Christmas. And then, so we'll work on them in November. I'm going to start them, but I'm not going to probably get 24 done in one setting. But I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'll have, we'll be doing that in our video. So if you want to watch that, you can go to my channel homepage just by clicking my name or my photo under the video here today, and it'll take you to my channel homepage, and you can click the remind button on that video, or just subscribe and click the remind for all of the videos, and it'll send you an email every time I do a new video. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll come back and watch other videos with us too. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to try to get the whiskers kind of generally in the same space. I mean, obviously they don't have to match exactly, but it's harder to go in this direction. So I may have to move because you're going to do better in the direction that you write with. And this is kind of getting in my way here just a little bit. I think I'm going to flip it up so I don't have that in the way. I can rest my hand on the counter or on the paper a little bit better. Okay, little kitty, super cute. Love it. All right, and then if you mess up, well, there's always black. And before you end, what you need to do is get your black and some water with your black so that it's thinned out, and you want to go to the front of all of your little whiskers and darken those up. And that will make them look like they're going down into the fur. They're always going to have a little shadow where they go down in and disappear down into the fur. So just add that in, notch it up 1,000 times, make it look much more realistic. See the side we've done and the side we haven't done. And you can go along the whole whisker if you want to darken up the whole thing, and some of them will be darker than others too. So that's, this whole background is black, so it's not going to hurt anything to do that. We don't have any detail down in this area, so you can cover any whiskers or mistakes and darken up the whiskers if you want to have some of them darker than others. I'm probably going to put a couple more in here that are whiter, just a little bit more white. And always add water when you're using any kind of liner brush. I mentioned the round brushes, the liner's the same. You want water because otherwise they're not going to flow. The paint will be too sticky, and it'll just stick straight to your brush, and you won't be able to get these nice thin lines. So do that, and then I'm just gonna turn it so that I can get a better line here. And I got a little thick on that one there, so while it's wet I can pull it off. Just wipe over it. There we go. I'll take off that thick part. That just meant that my paint was a little bit watery. So it went on a little bit thick right there. Get my black. I need to let that dry a little bit. I'll do this side. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to get my black over here with the filbert, this 4 filbert. Water, again, using the glaze technique. We're going to go over the top of the eye, make sure this is completely dry. We're going to go from the whole top of the eye and create a shadow across the bottom, the top of the eye. And I can just use my finger to kind of soften up the bottom of it. Or you can use a damp, wipe your brush off and just use that damp brush and kind of pull the paint, push it around a little bit. But you want it nice and dark. See the difference? That eye's in the head, that one's not. It's amazing. This is really important. Any eye that you're doing, it's got to have this. One of the most important things to do. That little shadow right where the eye goes down in. Turn this so I can get a better angle at it. Here we go. Wipe that off and then just use that dry brush to kind of pull off the extra paint. There we go. Let's put our highlights in now. So while that's drying up there, we'll work on our highlights down low. I'm going to get some white and my water. So same deal. Going to do the same thing down here at the bottom of the eye. Add a little highlight. A lot of times there's like a little bit of a mirrored kind of reflection, just like a long, thin light where the light's catching the bottom of the eye there. Just slightly in from the eye, just a little bit. Right there. Then I'm going to use a little bit of that cool gray, just a little. I always like to add a little bit of blue when I'm doing a highlight an eye, and it's really important to start out with a very transparent reflection too. And I'm gonna, I think that's gonna be just perfect. I'm gonna use the square brush since this one's the flat, 6 flat. Since that reflection in the eye is square, this will help. All right, so just a little bit of that cool gray that's got that blue tint to it, and my water, so it's transparent. And I'm going to go on the inside, make sure that that black that we just did is dry. And about halfway down, so about halfway down, I'm going to go use that straight edge, just set it down, kind of across. Pull up there and pull up here. And kind of stop it just at the top and kind of round it out right up there too. Okay, so that highlight's pretty fresh, it's pretty wet. I'm just gonna let it, I kind of brought it down too far on that side. I'm going to pull off a little bit of it. There we go. I'm going to fix that bottom edge of it. It needs to come up right here. There we go. Okay. And then there's some lashes in it at the top. So I'm going to take this brush and just kind of do some lines through, coming down at an angle. Just setting that brush down into that wet paint. Okay. same color over here. And this side is got a little bit over onto the green. It's a little bit farther over. Same deal. And then get that black. I really need to probably do the black after I do the extra white there, but I'm getting a little excited. It's a fun part. Get some white. Now this is pure white, but I have a little bit of water on here, so it's gonna tone it down just a little bit. And is that dry? I don't know, I can't tell. No. A little bit more white in the middle part right here. And then I'm going to get just the really bright white. Just the really bright white. And just kind of pull down a little angle of light. Right in the middle there. And I'm going to go in between my little hairs here too. There we go. It's fun, huh? Just shadow that one because I didn't shadow it before. And this is where you can also use this glaze. If you've got any area of it that's too dark, you can go over it with this black glaze and darken it up. You know, give it a second coat. Make sure that the areas that you want really dark are dark. But I think we did pretty good on it. And it's very much, you know, very black, just like our photograph. So we don't have to do all the furs. We can just kind of suggest it, and your eye kind of takes over and fills in the rest for us. Oh, nice clean line. See what I did with my black here? I'm just filling in my black. I got it on there, but I'll show you how to fix that. I brought my paper cutter out, so.
I got a question. The person would like to know that what kind of varnish would you recommend for them if they're going to paint this on a canvas?
On a canvas, well, matte varnish will keep it from being super shiny. With black, it might look better. The only thing with matte varnish is that it tends to have a little bit of opacifiers in it, which mean they'll have like particles. And this is bugging me, so I'm gonna show you how to fix it by cutting it off. What? Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, that's a good sound. Get that off the way. This thing has seen better days. I used to scrapbook, so if you don't have one of these, you could use scissors, I guess, and just make sure you mark it really well. Go out of the way. There we go. We're gonna make a square canvas out of it. Just make a little square, and I just want to be just over the line of my dark mishap there. This paper is kind of thick, so I may have to. My blade's probably dull too. And I think I'm a little off. No, I did all right. So there we go. It'll just make me feel better to have it. You don't have to do this, trust me. But it also, I think, looks better too to have it kind of that white border even all the way around. And just on the inside. Oh, my hand was dirty there. See, this is me in white paper. Anything white, white clothes, white paper, it's not good. That's why I don't do watercolors, because I get stuff all over. Gets paint on my hands, and I don't even know what's on there. And then I transfer it all over. All right, there we go. Ta-da! There's our kitty. He turned out really good. I like him. Yeah. Our kitty cat. So thank you to Arteza. I so appreciate them sponsoring this video, and I didn't get this cut really well, so I'm just going to use my scissors here. We got some super chats. What?
I looked for my Christmas bell, but I couldn't find it because it would be more cat-like. Cat bell instead of cowbell. Oh, I turned on the... I'm all messed up tonight, so I turned on the light, but there's no camera for it, so...
Okay.
All right. So tonight, well, first of all, we had a donation via PayPal from Sandra. So
Nice.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for that.
Yes, that came in a couple days ago.
Yeah, before the Saturday show, we forgot. And then after we went off air last Saturday, we had a donation from Dana, so thank you, Dana. And then tonight we had donations from, please hold, from Patty. And she says,
Aww.
Can we say meow instead of moo?
Oh, I love that. Oh.
And then a donation from Cindy. She says, love me some green cat eyes.
Oh.
And it's the same Cindy that sent
Cindy.
the candy.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Cindy.
And the tea.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm super excited. Cindy sent me some tea, so I am looking forward to trying it out. Okay, that one was way too big. I don't know why I just did that. A little bit smaller here. Oh, now why? Got the wrong brush. I was trying to do it with the round instead of the rigger. I just noticed I kind of feel like I want a little bit brighter one right in here. There we go. So yes, we have super sweet fans. Thank you guys so much for sending us stuff. We have our address if you want to send us treats. We're always happy to.
Yeah.
Candy. Mark can be easily bribed. Send me tea and Mark candy.
Yeah.
Cindy knew just what to send.
But she said that I had to share the candy. I don't understand.
Yeah,
that.
she did. She did. In her note, I have documented proof. So
you
because
get...
Mark was like, "Oh, she sent me candy," and then I read the note and it said, "For both of you," and I'm like, "Yes."
So you get one. That's technically sharing.
Well, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I guess giving it a thumbs up and liking it is the same thing. So redundant. My name is Angela. And again, thank you to our sponsor, Arteza. You can buy their stuff down their website. There's a link down there. If you use my link, it will help my channel. Oh, and there's a discount code too. I forgot to put it down there. I will put it down there. It's Angela Anderson 4. All one word. Angela Anderson 4. Number 4. Number 4. Yes.
The digit 4.
Digit 4. Number 4. Yes. Angela Anderson 4. and use that when you purchase, and I believe it gives you 10% off. I'm not exactly sure. He didn't tell me in my email today, and I forgot to ask. So, but anyhow, you can find out at checkout. It'll tell you how much before you buy it. Obviously, it'll tell you how much you get off. But it's still, their stuff is really decently priced. So, but again, if you use my link, it also helps them track it and let them know, and hopefully they'll sponsor some more videos like this if you enjoyed it. So. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you on Saturday. Or no, we're not doing a video this Saturday. We'll see you next Tuesday. We're going to be painting some pomegranates and grapes. It's kind of fun. First video of November. So happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you guys stay safe and trick-or-treating and whatever you're going to be doing. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.